My sister framed me for theft and cost me my job. But after I landed a six-figure offer, everyone lined up for handouts. I just smiled. Letters are on the way. Their faces went pale when they saw the totals. Okay, so imagine this. 6 years of clawing your way up, sacrificing everything only to have your entire career torpedoed in an instant. And the person who pulled the trigger? My own sister. It was a betrayal so profound, it didn't just shake my world, it utterly decimated it. I was at my desk, doing my usual triple check on the Preston account projections. The morning light was just starting to filter through the blinds, making these cool, thin stripes across my screen. 6 years at Wendell and Hayes, and this account, this one, was finally going to be my ticket to partnership. My fingers were just tapping this quiet rhythm on the desk. Not nervous, not really, just counting the seconds until success. Then the office phone rang. My heart gave that familiar little jump, the one that always told me opportunity was calling. Leona Park speaking, I said, trying to sound calm, professional. But Martha's voice, our admin, usually so warm and efficient, sounded hollow, distant. Mr. Caldwell would like to see you in his office immediately. Immediately. The word just hung there, heavy. In 6 years, Martin Caldwell had never used that word with me. Is everything all right, Martha? I asked, a tiny flicker of unease starting. A long pause. Just come up as soon as possible, please. Then the line just went dead. I saved my presentation, straightened my charcoal pencil skirt, maintaining that perfectly measured composure that had become my professional armor, and stood up. Across the bullpen, I could feel it. Heads lifted. Kendra from accounting raised an eyebrow. Tim from research suddenly found his computer screen fascinating. They knew something. Something I didn't. The elevator ride up to the executive floor felt like an eternity. I stared at my reflection in the polished brass doors. Nothing. No fear, no confusion. Just Leona Parks, the woman who'd built the Thompson portfolio from scratch, who'd salvaged the Westerly account when everyone else had thrown in the towel. Martin's door was ajar. Through the gap, I could see him, hunched behind his desk, his shoulders literally curved with the weight of whatever news was about to hit me. He looked up when I knocked. Come in, Leona. Closed the door. I did what he said, and I just took the seat across from him. Didn't even wait to be asked. Martin's face, usually so animated with office gossip or celebrating a client win, was stone. Just stone. There's no easy way to say this. He started, his fingers forming that steeple, like a little cathedral of bad news. Someone called the ethics committee yesterday with allegations. Allegations? The word felt wrong. Tasted wrong. Claims that you have a substance abuse problem. That you've been skimming from client accounts to fund it. The accusation hit me like a physical blow. My stomach clenched so hard, but my face? Nothing. That's absurd, I said, my voice flat. You know me, Martin. 6 years, not so much as a decimal point out of place. I know, he said, but his eyes wouldn't meet mine. But the caller provided details. Account. Numbers. Transaction dates. False details, I countered, leaning forward, my voice low. Who would make such claims? Martin slid a paper across his desk. My blood ran cold when I saw it. The caller identified herself as your sister. The world stopped. My lungs just forgot how to function. Sabrina. The name was barely a whisper. He nodded, grimacing. Sabrina Parks. Said she was coming. Forward out of family concern. Family concern. Those words just echoed in my head, slamming into memories from just 2 Sundays ago. Sabrina, across the dining table at our parents' house. Her artistic hands waving around. Dramatically describing her latest, sure-thing venture. It's only 10,000, Leona. Just a small loan until the gallery takes off. Her smile, so practiced in its vulnerability. You've always been so good with money. For the first time in 15 years of Sabrina's never-ending emergencies, I'd said no. Politely, but firmly. I can't this time, SAB. The timing isn't right. Mom's fork had clattered against her plate. Leona, you're always the responsible one. You can afford it. Dad had just disappeared deeper behind his newspaper, the rustle of pages his only contribution. You always do this, Sabrina had whispered, hold your success over us. Now, sitting in Martin's office, the pieces clicked into this horrible, sickening place. The firm has no choice but to terminate your employment, effective immediately. Martin slid a manila envelope across the desk. Heather will oversee you clearing out your desk. I stood up. My legs felt steady, even though the floor seemed to tilt beneath me. Will you be telling the Preston Group why their presentation won't be happening today? I asked, my voice soft. A flash of discomfort crossed his face. That's not necessary. Because you know it's not true, I said, even softer. Martin looked away. Security will escort you to your desk. I walked through that office, head held high, ignoring the whispers, the pitying glances. Mark from legal stood there, watching me pack my family photo, my certification plaques, my leather portfolio. I took nothing from that company that wasn't undeniably mine. The drive home was a blur, a fog of shock and disbelief. My phone rang just as I pulled into my parking space. Leona, it was just a joke. Sabrina's voice, light and dismissive. You're always so serious. I didn't think they'd actually fire you. I just ended the call. Didn't say a word. My apartment welcomed me with silence. That wall of family photos just stared back at me. Christmas, gatherings, graduations, birthdays. Years of smiling faces hiding years of one-sided giving. With methodical precision, I removed each frame from the wall. The hooks left tiny holes, like small wounds in the plaster. I placed each picture in a storage box, not roughly, but with the careful handling of someone collecting evidence. When the wall stood bare, I closed the box and slid it into the back of my closet. No more, I whispered to the empty apartment. Not $1 more. My apartment transformed into a war room overnight. The dining table disappeared beneath a landscape of company profiles, industry reports, and notepad pages filled with my precise handwriting. A huge calendar dominated the wall where those family photos used to hang, each square marked with interview times, follow-up calls, research deadlines. 3 weeks after Martin Caldwell destroyed my career, I ran my finger across tomorrow's square. Camden Stratton Group, 10 a.m. A financial boutique making serious waves by poaching mid-sized accounts from established firms. My phone buzzed. It was Richard Harmon, the only colleague who had bothered to check if I was okay. After security escorted me out. Got a minute? His voice had this unusual urgency. Always for you. Richard, I said, a flicker of hope. Just left drinks with my college roommate. He's VP at Camden Stratton now. He paused. I mentioned you. Graham Camden himself wants to meet you tomorrow. My heart skipped. Graham Camden, the founder? The very same. And Leona. Richard lowered his voice. He specifically mentioned your work on the Preston account. The call ended, and I dove into research with renewed purpose. Camden Stratton's client list. Market. Position. Recent acquisitions. I rehearsed answers until my voice was hoarse, anticipating every possible question. The bedroom clock read 2:14 a.m. when I finally allowed myself to sleep. The Camden Stratton offices were on the top floor of this incredible glass tower downtown. The receptionist led me to a corner conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows, and I could literally see the whole city spread out beneath me. The door opened and Graham Camden entered. Silver-haired, impeccably dressed in a Brooks Brothers suit, eyes sharp with intelligence. Miss Parks. His handshake was firm. I've heard remarkable things about your work. The interview flowed unlike anything I'd ever experienced. No canned behavioral questions. No hypotheticals. Instead, Graham pressed for specifics about market trends, client acquisition strategies, my thoughts on emerging investment vehicles. Your analysis of the Dorchester sector is precisely what we've been missing, he said, leaning forward. Tell me, how familiar are you with Wendell and Hayes Preston portfolio? I tensed slightly. Very familiar. I developed their 5-year growth strategy. A slow smile creased the corners of his eyes. I know. That's partly why you're here. Graham slid a folder across the polished table. Inside, an offer letter with a salary figure that made me blink twice, just to confirm I hadn't misread it. The number gleamed, 2.4 times my previous compensation. Director of Client Strategy, I read aloud. We've been watching Wendell and Hayes clients for months, Graham said, not bothering to soften the predatory edge in his voice. Their vulnerabilities. Their hesitations. What we lacked was someone who understood them from the inside. He tapped the offer letter. Someone like you. The opportunity crystallized before me. Not just a job, but a platform for something more. Something resembling justice. When can you start? Monday, I replied, without hesitation. My apartment door barely closed behind me when my phone rang. Mother's name on the screen. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but then I answered. Leona, honey. We heard you're between jobs. Her voice dripped with this concern that had never materialized during 6 years of family dinners where I paid for everyone's meal. Do you need help with rent? Your father and I worry. I'm fine, Mother, I said, my voice flat. Well, your father mentioned there's a temporary position at the hardware store. Office work. Nothing fancy. But it would tide you over. Before I could even respond, a text from Sabrina flashed on my screen. So sorry about the misunderstanding at your old job. BTW. Found an amazing art course that could launch my career. Only $5,000. Can we talk? I ended my mother's call with vague reassurances. Not 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Derek. Standing in the hallway, hands shoved in his pockets, concern painted across his face in broad, theatrical strokes. Thought I'd check on my big sis, he said, glancing past me into the apartment. Heard things are rough. His eyes lingered on my laptop, where Graham Camden's offer letter still glowed on the screen. I closed it before he could read the details. I'm managing, Derek. But thanks for stopping by. The hypocrisy was almost comical. 2 weeks into my new position, Graham handed me my first major assignment. Wendell and Hayes just renewed their contract with Stone River Investments. $60 million annually. I wanted. My fingers tingled. Stone River. Martin Caldwell's crown jewel. The account that funded their East Wing expansion. The one he personally handled. Stone River's CFO has concerns about their current returns, I said, pulling from knowledge no competitor should have. They're particularly worried about emerging market exposure. Graham's eyebrows rose slightly. Do tell. Late nights blurred together as I crafted the perfect pitch. I knew Stone River's portfolio better than they knew themselves. Their risk tolerance. Their board's pressure points. Their CEO's preference for clear visual representations over dense reports. The presentation day arrived. Stone River's executive team sat across the conference table, faces neutral, but their eyes alert. I stood, smoothing my charcoal suit. Gentlemen, ladies. You're currently allocating 14.3% to emerging markets through Wendell and Hayes' proprietary fund. I paused, letting that exact figure register. A fund that underperformed the benchmark by 3.2% last quarter. Their CFO straightened. I'd hooked him with specificity where other firms offered only generalities. 90 minutes later, I'd answered every question, countered every objection. The CEO leaned back, fingers steepled. We'll need to discuss internally, he said. But his eyes told a very different story. 3 days later, Graham popped the cork on a bottle of Dom Perignon. $50 million, he announced to the gathered team. Stone River just signed. Our newest superstar delivered the biggest account transfer of the quarter. Champagne flutes clinked around me. My phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. Martin Caldwell's name appeared on the screen. Leona, it's Martin. I've just heard about Stone River. Perhaps we should talk. There might be a misunderstanding we could clear up about your departure. The office erupted in celebration around me. Colleagues who barely knew me a month ago raised toasts to my success. I stared at Martin's message for a long moment, then pressed delete. Without saving. Some misunderstandings, I thought, need no clarification. The business journal sat open on my coffee table. My photos smiled back at me, confident, composed, successful. The Camden Stratton logo gleamed in the corner of the page. The headline read, Rising Star, Leona Parks transforms Camden's client strategy. 3 weeks at my new position, and already this profile piece had made waves. The reporter had captured my journey without mentioning Wendell. And Hayes directly, a professional courtesy I hadn't even requested. My phone vibrated against the granite countertop. I glanced at the screen. Mother. Again. The family. Group chat, dormant since my firing, now overflowed with sudden activity. 15 new messages since breakfast. I hadn't opened a single one. My phone buzzed with another notification. Mother had forwarded the article to me privately, with a message, We're so proud of you. Dad and I were just telling the Hendersons about our brilliant daughter. The same mother who, 3 weeks ago, hadn't returned my calls. The same father who suggested I take some time to reflect on my choices when I told him about Sabrina's betrayal. I sipped my coffee, letting the bitterness linger. The timer on my oven beeped, banana bread, a Saturday morning ritual I'd maintained through all the chaos. As I slid on oven mitts, my phone lit up with Sabrina's name. Against better judgment, I answered. Leo, I've been trying to reach you. Her voice carried that familiar sing-song quality, the one that always preceded a request. Did you see the article? You look amazing. What do you want? Sabrina. The words came out flat, devoid of the anger still burning beneath my ribs. Well, since you ask, a pause. I could almost see her twirling her hair, that practiced gesture she'd used since childhood. Remember that art course I mentioned? The one with Marcel Dupont? His summer intensive starts next month, and I finally got accepted. I slid the banana bread onto the cooling rack. Congratulations. The thing is, it's $5,000 for the 8-week program, materials included, of course. She rushed forward before I could respond. This could launch everything for me, Leo. Marcel only takes 12 students each. Summer. No. The sheer simplicity of refusal felt clean. But this isn't like those other times. This is legitimate. This is. Still no, I said, and ended the call. Then I silenced all notifications. The apartment felt suddenly spacious, as if my refusal had cleared invisible clutter. The doorbell rang at 2:17 p.m. Through the peephole, I saw Derek's familiar slouch, his hands jammed into the pockets of jeans that probably cost more than my first month's rent after college. Hey, sis. His smile appeared the moment I opened the door. Just in the neighborhood. Thought I'd stop by. Were you? I didn't step aside to let him in. His eyes darted past me into the apartment. Can I come in? It's about Mom and Dad. I relented, if only because Mrs. Abernathy across the hall had. Her door cracked open. Derek sprawled on my sofa, his lanky frame taking up far more space than necessary. He eyed the business journal still open on the table. Saw your fancy article. Big shot now, huh? I remained standing. What about Mom and Dad? They're thinking about redoing the kitchen. Finally replacing those awful oak cabinets Mom always hated. He ran a hand through hair that I knew cost $200 to maintain. Dad got some quotes. $24,000 for what they want. The number just hung there between us. And I folded my arms. And they were hoping, with your new big job. He trailed off, watching my face. Just alone until their home equity line comes through. My laugh startled us both. It was sharp, humorless. Is that what they're calling it now? Alone. Look, I know things have been weird lately. Weird. I snapped. Sabrina got me fired, Derek. She called my firm and accused me of theft and drug addiction. That's not weird. That's criminal. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. She said it was just a misunderstanding. And now, 3 weeks later, you're all circling like vultures. I walked to my kitchen and returned with my laptop. Let me show you something. I opened a spreadsheet I'd spent nights compiling. Column after column of loans, dating back 7 years. Dates, amounts, purposes. A final column, repaid. Rows of no marched downward like an indictment. $23,000 to Sabrina. $18,000 to you. $35,000 to mom and dad. I turned the screen toward him. I've been maintaining this for years, telling myself it was just record keeping. Now I see it for what it is. Evidence. Derek's face paled. Evidence of what? Financial exploitation. The legal term landed with precision. I've pulled text messages, emails. The pattern is clear. When I'm struggling, radio silence. When I succeed, everyone needs just a little help. We're family, he protested, but the words sounded hollow even to him. Family doesn't sabotage careers. Family doesn't see success as an ATM. I closed the laptop with a snap. I need you to leave. After he was gone, I sat at my desk and opened 4 separate documents. Each letter began differently, but all contained the same core truth, no more. I included specific amounts, dates, promises made and broken. For Sabrina, I included transcripts of voicemails where she admitted the call to Wendell and Hayes. For my parents, I included their dismissals of my career while accepting its financial benefits. The letters took shape under my fingers, not emotional outpourings, but financial statements of account, facts, evidence, boundaries. By evening, 4 envelopes sat before me. I addressed each in my neat handwriting, applied stamps, with methodical precision. No rush. No anger visible in the careful script. Just clarity. Monday morning, I stopped at the post office before work. The clerk looked up as I placed 4 certified mail envelopes on the counter. Need delivery confirmation? He asked, already reaching for the forms. Yes, I met his eyes. I need to know exactly when they receive them. He nodded, processing each letter with mechanical efficiency. I watched as he stamped each one, the official mark sealing my decision. That'll do it, he said, handing me the receipts. I dropped the letters into the mail slot, watching them disappear with a soft thud. The point of no return had passed, not with the mailing, but with the writing. The moment I decided my worth wasn't negotiable. Outside, the spring sun felt warmer somehow. I checked my watch. Still time to get coffee before my 9 a.m. meeting with Graham. The weight I'd carried for years had transformed into something lighter. Something with wings. Let them read. Let them know. Let them feel, for once, the consequences of their actions. No more. I stood at my office window, watching the city sparkle 32 floors below. Morning light caught the glass facades of neighboring buildings, transforming downtown into a kaleidoscope of reflected sun. My new corner office at Camden Stratton offered a view I couldn't have imagined just 6 weeks ago. My calendar sat open on my mahogany desk, today's date circled in red. The certified letters should have arrived yesterday. I'd prepared for this moment, rehearsed the conversations in my head. Yet my stomach tightened at the thought of what was coming. 3 text notifications buzzed in rapid succession. I didn't need to look to know who they were. From Graham poked his head through my doorway. Ready for the Westfield presentation? His eyes narrowed slightly. Everything all right at home? Perfect, I lied, sliding my phone into my desk drawer. Just finalizing the projections. The moment he left, I retrieved my phone. 27 missed calls. 14 voicemails. 39 text messages. The digital avalanche I'd been expecting. I pressed play on the first voicemail. Leona Margaret. Mother's voice wavered between fury and tears. How could you say such things? After everything we've done for you? Call me immediately. Delete. This has gone far enough. Father's stern voice, the one he used when I stayed out past curfew. You will fix this immediately. Your mother is beside herself. Delete. Sabrina's texts morphed from rage to desperation. 8:14 a.m. Who do you think you are? 8:32 a.m. You had no right to air our family business. 9:17 a.m. Please call me. We need to talk. 10:01 a.m. I'm sorry about the job thing. I never thought they'd fire you. 10:46 a.m. Please, Leona. I need you. I scrolled through similar messages from my parents, each one a mixture of demands and guilt, until I reached an unexpected name, Derek. Hey sis, got your letter. You're right. I need help. Can we talk? No money, just talk. His message sat alone in its honesty, but I'd heard similar promises before. I placed my phone face down on the desk and turned back to the Westfield numbers. Saturday morning arrived with autumn sunshine streaming through my apartment windows. I'd planned a quiet weekend, brunch at the new cafe down the street, maybe a visit to the bookstore afterward. My first weekend without financial chaos since I was 22. The doorbell rang with an insistence that made my coffee mug pause halfway to my lips. It rang again, 3 short bursts, my mother's signature ring. Through the peephole, I saw them. All 4 family members, crowded in the hallway. Mother, front and center, clutching her purse like a shield. Father looming behind her, jaw set in. That familiar stubborn line. Sabrina fidgeting with her hair, eyes darting nervously. Derek standing, slightly apart, hands in pockets, shoulders hunched. I considered not answering. But then I remembered the letters, filled with 15 years of documented truths. I opened the door. We need to talk about those horrible letters, Mother announced, pushing past me without waiting for an invitation. They filed into my living room like a jury entering a courtroom. Mother took the armchair, her preferred power position. Father stood beside her, arms crossed. Sabrina perched on the edge of the sofa, mascara already smudged from earlier tears. Derek chose the window seat, keeping his distance. This has gone far enough, Father began, echoing his voicemail. Whatever point you're trying to make, the point was truth, I interrupted, remaining standing. Every word in those letters is documented fact. You humiliated us, Mother said, her voice tight. Those things were private. Family matters. Private? Like Sabrina calling my firm with false accusations that cost me my career. Sabrina's face crumpled. I didn't think they'd actually fire you. I was angry. You've always had everything so easy. A laugh escaped me, sharp, humorless. Easy? I've given you over $80,000 in 10 years, Sabrina, documented in the letter you received. You've always lorded your success over us. She countered, but her voice lacked conviction. Success I earned while you were taking art classes. I paid for, the words flowed now, years of silence breaking. Success I shared through every emergency loan that was never repaid. We're family, Mother interjected. Family helps each other. Family doesn't exploit. Family doesn't sabotage careers out of spite. An unexpected voice broke through the tension. She's right. Derek looked up, his eyes red-rimmed, but clear. I've been taking advantage for years. The gambling. It's worse than any of you know. I need help. His confession shifted something fundamental in the room. Sabrina stared at her hands, then whispered, I was jealous. You make everything look so easy while I struggle with everything. Easy? I repeated. I worked 60-hour weeks while handling your constant financial emergencies. We may have, Father hesitated, the closest he'd ever come to admitting fault, we may have expected too much from you, Leona. Mother's perfect posture crumbled slightly. We thought since you were doing so well, you thought my success meant unlimited resources for everyone else's mistakes, I finished. That stops now. The truth hung between us. Uncomfortable, unavoidable, but finally acknowledged. For the first time in 15 years, my family truly saw me. The calendar on my kitchen wall now showed 4 weeks since that family showdown. 4 weeks of blessed silence. My phone, once a constant barrage of financial emergencies and guilt trips, sat quietly on the counter. No missed calls from mother. No desperate texts from Sabrina. No urgent voicemails from father. I ran my finger across the unmarked dates, each empty square representing a day I didn't have to say no, didn't have to explain, didn't have to feel that familiar twist of obligation in my stomach. Freedom tasted different than I'd imagined, less like triumph and more like just room to breathe. My apartment had transformed in subtle ways. Books long abandoned now rested open on my coffee table. A half-finished watercolor occupied my dining room table, a hobby buried since college. Beneath family obligations, the walls remained bare where family photos once hung, but the tiny nail holes had disappeared beneath fresh paint. Pearl white. My choice. The family group chat notification light hadn't blinked in 29 days. I scrolled through it. Occasionally, like examining artifacts from a former civilization. Mother's last message: we need to discuss this as adults. Sabrina's final plea: you've destroyed everything. Father's closing statement: when you're ready to be reasonable, we'll talk. Then, Derek's separate text arrived on a Tuesday morning as I was reviewing quarterly projections. I've started therapy. First step. Hope you're okay. I stared at the message, waiting for the follow-up request. The inevitable ask hiding beneath the vulnerability. None came. Instead, an image appeared, a bronze coin with 30 stamped in the center, surrounded by the words "one day at a time." The coin sat in his palm, fingers slightly curled around it like something precious. No elaborate caption. No grandiose declaration of change. Just evidence. Quiet proof. I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, "I'm proud of you. Keep going." His typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, thanks Lee. Just that. No request for a celebration dinner. No hint about financial struggles. No subtle reminder of how hard recovery is. And how much easier it would be with help. The exchange ended there, leaving a strange lightness in my chest. At work, my corner office expanded. The glass walls now encompassed what was once a conference room. Graham insisted. "Can't have our rising star crammed into a shoebox," he announced, dropping the expanded floor plan on my desk. The Westerly acquisition put us in a new league, Leona. Time to dress for the part. Behind the plans sat a more significant document: partnership papers. Equity. Stake. My name to be added to the letterhead by year's end. 50 clients followed you from Wendell. And Hayes, Graham said, leaning against my door frame. Martin Caldwell called me yesterday. Asked if we were hiring. Seems they've lost 60% of their portfolio. The satisfaction I felt wasn't petty. It was mathematical. Precise. The exact measurement of what I was worth. "Did you tell him we have an opening in the mailroom?" I asked, a small smile playing on my lips. Graham's laugh filled the office. I told him we require references. My assistant knocked, then entered with a folder. The mentorship program roster. 15 women. Confirmed for the fall session. I flipped through the applications. Young financial advisors. Investment specialists, account managers. Women at the beginning of careers where they'll be underestimated, overlooked, asked to prove themselves twice over. Women I can help navigate without sacrificing themselves. In the elevator, I checked my phone and found something unexpected. Sabrina's Instagram update. No direct message to me. Just a public post, visible to anyone who scrolled by. Starting real work. Real healing. The caption read above a photo of her in a crisp white shirt, arranging framed artwork on gallery walls. Not her own chaotic paintings this time, but other artists' work. Her expression contained something I'd rarely seen: concentration without performance. I swiped to the next image. My parents' home, their living room stripped of its Italian leather sectional and massive entertainment system, replaced by simpler furniture. Mother standing beside a "for sale" sign in the front yard. Her smile tight, but determined. The third post stopped my breath. Father's corporate credit card, cut in half. The family boat listed on a sales website. Evidence of downsizing scattered across Sabrina's normally glamorous social media feed. My phone buzzed with an email notification. Father's address. Subject line, family meeting. Your terms. I opened it, standing in the parking garage, keys suspended in my hand. Leona. Attached is our financial counselor's report and 6-month plan. We've made the changes you suggested in your letter. If you're willing, we would like to meet. Your choice of location, date, and time. Dad. A handwritten note had been scanned and attached below his signature. We were wrong. I was wrong all these years. If you'll let us try again, we'll do better. Mom. No guilt trip. No emotional manipulation. No pretense that everything could return to normal with one conversation. I slid into my car and placed the keys in the ignition, but didn't turn them. The choice hung before me. Continue forward alone or attempt reconstruction with new blueprints. I rested my forehead against the steering wheel and closed my eyes, searching for the answer in the quiet I'd fought so hard to earn. I paused at the edge of the driveway, taking in the changes to my childhood home. The luxury SUV that once dominated the garage had vanished, replaced by a modest sedan with practical lines. The elaborate landscaping had been simplified, fewer ornamental plants, more perennials that required minimal care. Even from outside, I could sense the transformation. The front door opened before I reached it. Mother stood in the doorway, her smile tentative. Gone were the designer clothes and statement jewelry. Her sweater was simple wool, her only adornment a thin gold chain I recognized from my grandmother's collection. Leona. She didn't rush forward for an embrace, respecting the invisible boundary between us. Thank you for coming. Father appeared behind her, his frame somehow smaller in a plain button-down rather than his usual tailored shirts. His eyes meet mine with an unfamiliar humility. We've been looking forward to this, he said, stepping aside to let me enter. The living room furniture, I remembered, Italian leather and custom upholstery, had disappeared. In its place stood practical, comfortable seating, arranged for conversation rather than impression. Family photos still lined the mantel, but they'd been curated. The forced smiles of holiday gatherings had been replaced with candid moments of genuine connection. We're in the dining room, Mother said, leading the way. The gleaming mahogany table where I'd first refused Sabrina's loan request had been replaced with a simpler oak piece. For place settings, awaited, each with a folder positioned precisely beside the plate. Derek and Sabrina were already seated, both rising when I entered. Derek stepped forward first. Hey, sis. His voice carried none of its usual charm offensive. He looked healthy, clear-eyed, steady. He pulled out my chair without flourish. Sabrina met my gaze directly. Her artistic hands, once animated with dramatic gestures, rested quietly on the table. Thank you for giving us this chance. I took my seat, noting the deliberate arrangement. No one at the head of the table. For equals. Facing each other. Father cleared his throat. We thought we should begin with full disclosure. He opened his folder, revealing a comprehensive financial statement. This is our rehabilitation plan. 3 financial counseling sessions completed. For more scheduled. We've downsized systematically. Mother touched her folder. My therapy receipts. 12 sessions focused on enabling behaviors and emotional manipulation patterns. Her voice wavered but steadied. The hardest work I've ever done. Derek slid a small gold token across the table. 90 days. 1 day at a time. His fingers drummed nervously before stilling. Leading a support group for younger guys now. Turns out my charm works for something useful. Sabrina pushed her folder toward me. It contained employment verification from Hamilton Gallery. Assistant curator. Entry-level salary, but it was real. Her first legitimate job in a decade. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a calm, earnest gesture I realized with surprise. No more sure things or just until my art takes off. I opened my own folder, pulling out the single sheet I'd prepared. 3 columns of clear terms, written in my precise handwriting. My conditions, I said, voice steady. No more guilt trips. No more secrets. Total honesty. I tapped the second column. Financial discussions happen quarterly, with statements prepared in advance. All loans documented with repayment terms. My finger moved to the third column. Monthly family therapy sessions required for 1 year, then quarterly after that. Individual relationships rebuild one at a time. Trust isn't collective. I looked at each face. Around the table. The room fell silent. Then Father nodded, a gesture of acceptance without argument. Mother reached for her water glass, her hand trembling slightly. Derek's eyes remained clear, present. Sabrina's artistic fingers traced invisible patterns on the tablecloth, but her gaze never wavered from mine. We agree to your terms, Father said simply. The clock on the wall ticked forward. Outside, spring. Sunlight filtered through new leaves on the old maple tree. Inside, for adults sad in the strange. New territory of honesty.